स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतङ्गमय। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। Let us offer our salutations to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all legends, the Supreme God Incarnate. Let us pray to Him to lead us from the unreal to the real, to lead us from the darkness of ignorance to the light of knowledge, to lead us from death to immortality. We have been studying Gospel class, Gospel text. Today's topic I have chosen Sri Ramakrishna's effective solutions for modern problems. We are seeing how the whole world is passing through tremendous moral crisis and absence of spiritual values, total neglect of the cultivation of character, and so many reasons. So, the bad effect of all these we are seeing in a more horrified way. People are becoming more and more violent, hating one another. So, misery has been increased thousandfold. No government can stop, no war can stop. The moral crisis cannot be stopped by wars. Only the man has to be sincere about cultivation of character and knowing the teachings of the spiritual masters, applying them in life. That's the only way that we can get over this problem in modern time. And Sri Ramakrishna has come to show us the way. When he was a priest of Dakshineshwar Kali temple, when his breath is last, very few people realized the far-reaching influence his message was going to have in the days to come. 7 miles away from Calcutta, the metropolis of Western culture in India in those days, this virtually unlettered priest lived a life of constant communion with God, absolutely oblivious of the social norms of the so-called cultured and educated. Yet society veered around him. After some years of his Mahasamadhi, Sri Ramakrishna slowly began to emerge as the pathfinder for the modern times. Arnold J. Toynbee concluded his monumental study of history with the idea that today's problems are neither economic nor social nor scientific. They are primarily spiritual. After coming in contact with Ramakrishna's life and message, Mr. Toynbee wrote, Sri Ramakrishna was born and brought up in a village in Bengal. He spent most of his life in a temple on the bank of the Ganges, only a few miles away from Calcutta. Outwardly, his life might seem uneventful. Yet, in his own field, the field of religion, his life was much more active and more effective than the lives of his contemporaries, Indian and English, who were building the framework of modern India in Sri Ramakrishna's lifetime. Perhaps Sri Ramakrishna's life was even more modern than theirs, in the sense that his work may have a still greater future than theirs. So like this, Toynbee has written in his book, Sri Ramakrishna brought the power of religion to solve the problems of life. He brought, as it was often said by his disciples, the Vedanta of the forest to the home of life. With him, Vedanta, the eternal values of India's spiritual culture, became practical and effective in solving day-to-day problems of life. Problems are and will always be there in human life. Except two, none is free from problems. One, the perfect being who has transcended them, he is not to worry about problems at all. And the perfect fool who doesn't understand them at all, he is also not worried about problems. All other human beings, in between these two extremes, at various levels of evolution, are beset with them. Modern world, notwithstanding all the wonders that have been wrought by science and technology, raising our civilization to higher levels of comforts, has multiplied psychic problems and tensions. If lack of basic amenities of life worries certain segments of the world society, a surfeit of them is threatening life on earth itself in other sections. The various problems that our society is facing at the individual level, like alcoholism, drug addiction, and sex perversions, social or national level like exploitation, crimes and violence, group animosities, and conflicts based on pride and prejudice, and the international level like wars and violations of human rights, are all in the ultimate analysis simply the symptoms of a sick mind. Today's problems have to be tackled at a more fundamental level, and more fundamental solutions have to be found and applied. This is what we find in the life and teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, who stood out in the vision of Vivekananda as an object lesson for future generations. Ramakrishna, more known as the Paramahams, is the brightest star that rose on the spiritual firmament of India in the 19th century. Born of pious parents in the tiny village of Kamarpukur, in a temple in a remote part of Bengal, he spent his early life there itself, 1836. Ever since he shifted to Calcutta in 1852 to assist his elder brother until his Mahasamadhi on the 16th August 1886, it was a long life of total dedication to God. Starting his life as an unknown temple priest, the vocation, which was not considered as a very honorable one, he rose to be a world teacher of religion and spirituality by dint of intense austerity, culminating in an uniquely comprehensive spiritual experience. From simple image worship right up to the highest flights of Advaita philosophy, the whole gamut of Indian spiritual culture was traversed by him. Not being satisfied with it, he experimented with alien religions like Christianity and Islam, and found to his joy that they too lead to the same superconscious mystic state. Being thus armed with the direct experience of truth through the known and unknown paths of various cultures and religions, Sri Ramakrishna proclaimed the great message of his life: harmony. Harmony not only of religions, but of all aspects of life, within the framework of the ultimate spiritual welfare of man. He specially prepared a band of disciples under the leadership of Narendranath, Swami Vivekananda, to give a practical shape to his teachings and spread them far and wide for the benefit of humanity. Through Sri Sharada Devi, his consort, Sri Ramakrishna exhibited to the world the possibility of raising conjugal life to the highest spiritual level and the nature of universal motherhood. Thanks to Mahendranath Gupta, Ramakrishna's teachings have come down to us in abundance. M's book, The Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, is an all-time classic by any standard. Even a cursory glance at the book will reveal the refrain of Sri Ramakrishna's teachings: Bhagavan Labh, realization of God as the only goal of life, and Kama Kanchana Tyag, renunciation of lust and lucre as the essence of spiritual life. To modern man, deifying sex and material wealth day in and day out, these solutions of Sri Ramakrishna appeared ridiculous some 50 years before. Today, however, his ideas are appealing to modern mind due to the socio-economic changes that have taken place. The Marxian concept of the economic determination of life is today put to severe doubt. Only money cannot solve the problems of the psyche which plague modern generation, especially the youth. In December 1984, the People's Daily, China's official news organ, openly declared that China has rejected the ideas of Marx, Engels and Lenin, as their ideas do not apply to modern problems of China. The recent glasnost, the liberalization policy in Russia, is a pointer to the same direction. The Freudian slogan of giving free release to impulses is largely responsible for bringing the black angel of AIDS, which according to recent statistics may claim lakhs of lives by the end of this century. One can even find such slogans in the schools of some of the most advanced societies: spare the food and save the child. When Sri Ramakrishna used the word Kama Kanchana Tyag, or renunciation of lust and lucre, he did not ask everyone to embrace monastic life. If the young men who were earmarked by him for a life of total renunciation and dedication were advised not even to look at the picture of a woman, or to look upon all women as aspects of the Divine Mother, the householder couples were directed to live like brother and sister after the birth of one or two children. He himself worshipped his own wife, Sri Sharada Devi, as the Divine Mother, and remained absolutely chaste throughout his life. If he himself had practiced renunciation of money to such an extent that he could not even bear the least touch of metal or reject outright the fabulous gifts by his admirers, he permitted a young disciple of his to earn money to take care of his mother. He even admonished severely an errant householder who had squandered his ancestral wealth by fast living and who had abandoned his family, leaving them at the mercy of others. In other words, he tailored his teachings to suit the needs and capacities of his disciples, but always leading them gradually leading them, though, to higher levels of spiritual perfection. To him, none was damned, none was too bad to be reformed. He knew that everyone was groping at lower levels of development and had to be led up to higher ones. Almost all the problems that the modern man is facing, whatever be their ramifications, can ultimately be traced to two basic infirmities of the human mind, and that is lust and greed. It is these two that manifest themselves through various desires. These desires, when unfulfilled, lead to frustrations and complexes. When fulfilled, instead of getting satiated, they grow further in intensity, like the fire that consumes inflammable substances. It is a strange fact that as desires are fulfilled in arithmetic progression, they seem to grow further in geometric progression. Fulfillment or satiation can never catch up with the desires. This will again lead to the same old result of frustration as with all its concomitant evils. At the same time, total abandonment of all in desires is a chimera except for the spiritually perfected being. So, the only way left for an ordinary person is to regulate his lust and greed within the permitted perimeters of dharma, as sanctioned by the scriptures, and gradually overcome them through disciplines prescribed for them. This is what Sri Ramakrishna taught to his old household disciples. One must cling to God with one hand and perform worldly duties with the other. When the worldly responsibilities are over, the mind will go to God, and the renunciation of lust and greed will only be natural. Placing a limit on our lust and greed and trying to gradually transcend them is a primary solution even for our complex problems. Given the chance of its trial it deserves, it can certainly prove its worthiness to us in our lives, both individual and social, as also national and international. Another great message of Sri Ramakrishna is harmony. Harmony of notes is a well-known concept in music. When various notes differing in pitch and volume coalesce without jarring one another in any way, harmonious music is produced. And such a music is a feast for the ears. So also, when the spiritual and the material aspects of our personal and social life coalesce as to bring a successful life, we feel ready to proceed towards nishreyas, or a life of spiritual perfection. The materialists consider themselves a combination of body and mind. They don't care for the spirit, the undying self, the divinity within. On the other hand, the spiritual teachers, especially in the post-Vedic India, almost invariably relegated and even derided the role of the body, often picturing it as filthy and a formidable obstacle to spiritual progress. But Sri Ramakrishna's approach is positive and full of respect for life. He advised the ordinary aspirants to care for the body, since the body is a great aid in obtaining spiritual experience. At the same time, he taught, like Buddha, to make all possible sacrifice for God realization. He was conscious of the minimum needs of the body. He practically demonstrated this teaching in his life by arranging for treatment, nursing and nourishment of his wife or disciples whenever they fell ill. But with all this, he never approved bestowal of too much of attention on it, lest it develops into inordinate body consciousness, which is a great obstacle to spiritual progress, the ultimate goal of life. His discouragement of Hatha Yoga should be viewed from this angle. Speech is the second aspect of our personality. Sri Ramakrishna used to teach that to speak the truth is the greatest austerity in this age. Ramakrishna's truthfulness was phenomenal. He was the very symbol of truth, yet he never hurt others. Ramakrishna never condemned anyone, he only loved. In today's society, even the educated and civilized people have assiduously cultivated the art of speaking untruths and half-truths to a degree of sophistication unknown, perhaps, in our previous history. Ramakrishna's life of absolute truthfulness may seem impossibility for others, but this, nevertheless, is the ideal. Truth ultimately wins and brings fulfillment. Ramakrishna's life teaches this great lesson. Have we ever, even for a moment, stopped to think of the disastrous consequences if everyone starts telling lies to everyone else? One cannot say that one can tell a lie or the truth as it suits one. One must not be a thief in the room of ideas. Ramakrishna used to say. He meant that one must shun hypocrisy and must try to make his words coincide with the thoughts in his mind. Mind is the most important aspect of our personality. It is a quality of our mind that makes or mars our life. Uninformed people sometimes talk flippantly that Ramakrishna himself, being a non-intellectual, disdained and discouraged intellectualism. Far from it. Though he had read a little schooling, he had heard much, as he himself confesses, from great intellectuals and sincere seekers, and he had a photographic memory. He used to delight in explaining religio-philosophical truths and would even encourage his disciple to read tough texts like the Ashtavakra Samhita or have friendly debates and discussions on metaphysical topics. What he really disliked and discouraged was dry intellectualism meant for public consumption and not for self-realization. As regards the spiritualization of emotions and the aesthetic spirit, Sri Ramakrishna was a supreme artist, himself an adept in various fine arts like music, painting and clay modeling. He could also appreciate the beauties of nature. It is now a well-known fact that his very first samadhi, superconscious experience, was brought about by the sight of an exquisitely beautiful scene of nature. He was sensitive to high-class poetry and would often improvise lines very aptly when the matchless compositions of the poet mystics of Bengal like Ramprasad and Kamalakant were being sung. He exulted in singing devotional songs in his golden voice and delighted in listening to good music as that of Narendranath or Trilokanath. As regards the purity of emotions, he was the last word. The whole philosophy of his life was that all our faculties, physical, vocal, intellectual, aesthetic and emotional, should be directed to one single purpose of life, and that is God experience. If this is not harmony of life and harmony in life, what else can it be? Sri Rama upheld the highest principles of dharma in his life. Lord Krishna fought relentlessly to destroy the enemies of dharma and gave us a dynamic philosophy of work. Buddha and Mahavir quietly brought about the burial of the meaningless labyrinth of ritualism and substituted it with simple moral values based on non-violence and mutual love. Acharya Shankara heralded a revolution in metaphysical speculations and restored intellectualism to a respectable position. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nanak, and a galaxy of saints of the Bhakti schools brought back sanity into a society riven by caste prejudices and ridden with superstitions, and strengthened the social fabric by preaching a philosophy of mutual love and respect. Every one of them, without exception, fulfilled the needs of his times, both by precept and by practice. The same supreme power that manifested through these incarnations, saints and sages, either partially or otherwise, has come down once again to show us the way, away from the way leading to total destruction of mankind. The way to universal fulfillment through individual fulfillment by a harmonious and God-oriented development of all aspects of human personality. And in this, the role of self-control, fidelity to truth, and God-centered living as taught by Sri Ramakrishna stands supreme. Sri Ramakrishna's message stands as a way out of modern problems. We are too near Sri Ramakrishna in time to understand the true impact of his epoch-making message. But if the vision of Vivekananda is to be believed, the world is already Ramakrishna's. Even if we do not believe this, we can ignore Ramakrishna's message of harmony and self-control only at our peril. So, it is very important, and it is our bounden duty to spread this message of Sri Ramakrishna as much as possible, as soon as possible, to a larger number of people. And that is our best service that we can render to humanity. Sri Ramakrishna's message is the current message, which is applicable to all people all over the world. Message of harmony. So, let us try to practice Sri Ramakrishna's teachings and try to spread them sincerely with our fellow beings. Page 869. You must have noticed that he sees God so near him that he always converses with him. This is said by M. When suffering from illness, he says to God like a small child, "Oh mother, it is hurting me." How wonderful his power of observation is. He saw a fossil in the museum. At once he gave it as an example of the effect of companionship with holy persons. Just as an object is turned into stone by remaining near stone, so does a man become holy by living with a holy man. Doctor said, "Yesterday Ishan Babu talked of the incarnation of God. What is that? To call man God?" M said, "Everyone has his own faith. What's the use of interfering with it?" Doctor said, "Yes. What's the use?" M said, "How the master made us laugh when he told us about a certain man who refused to believe that a house had collapsed because it was not published in the newspaper." Dr. Sarkar remained silent. Shri Ramakrishna had said to him, "Your science does not speak of God's incarnation. Therefore you say that God cannot incarnate himself as man. It was midday. Dr. Sarkar took M with him in his carriage. He was going to visit Sri Ramakrishna after seeing his other patients. A few days before, at Girish's invitation, Dr. Sarkar had seen his play about Buddha's life. He said to M, it would have been better to speak of Buddha as the incarnation of compassion. Why did he speak of him as the incarnation of Vishnu? The doctor set M down at the corner of Cornwallis Square. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon. One or two devotees were seated near Sri Ramakrishna. He became impatient like a child. Repeatedly he asked the devotees, when is the doctor coming? What time is it now? Dr. Sarkar was expected in the evening. Suddenly, Sri Ramakrishna was overwhelmed with a strange mood. He placed his pillow on his lap. Filled with maternal love, he began to caress it and hold it to his breast as if it were his child. He was in an ecstatic mood. His face was lighted with a childlike smile. He put on his cloth in a strange manner. The devotees looked at him in amazement. A little later, Sri Ramakrishna was in his normal mood. It was time for his meal. He ate a little boiled farina. He was talking to M about his mystic experiences. Master said to M aside, do you know what I saw just now in my ecstatic state? There was a meadow covering an area of 7 or 8 miles, through which lay the road to Sihor. I was alone in that meadow. I saw a 16-year-old Paramahamsa boy, exactly like the one I had seen in the Panchavati. A mist of bliss lay all around. Out of it emerged a boy 13 or 14 years old. I saw his face. He looked like Purna. Both of us were naked. Then we began to run around joyfully in the meadow. Purna felt thirsty. He drank some water from a tumbler and offered me what was left. I said to him, brother, I cannot take your leavings. Thereupon he laughed, washed the glass and brought me fresh water. Sri Ramakrishna was again in Samadhi. He regained consciousness and began to talk to M. Master said, my mind is undergoing a change. I can't take prasad anymore. The real and the appearance are becoming one to me. Do you know what I saw just now? A divine form, vision of the Divine Mother. She had a child in her womb. She gave birth to it, and the next instant began to swallow it, and as much of it as went into her mouth became void. It was revealed to me that everything is void. The Divine Mother said to me, as it were, come confusion, come delusion, come. This reminded M of Sri Ramakrishna's saying that the magician alone is real and all else unreal. Master said, well, how is it that the other time I tried to attract Purna but failed? This weakens my faith a little. M said, but to attract a person is to work a miracle. Master, yes, a downright miracle. M said, you remember one day we were returning to Dakshineshwar in a carriage from Adda's house. When a bottle broke, one of us said to you, does this mean that any harm will befall us? What do you think? You said, what do I care? Why should I bother about it? That would be miracle working. Master said, yes, people lay ailing children down on the ground where men chant the name of God in order that they may be cured, or people cure disease through occult powers. All this is miracle working. Only those whose spiritual experience is extremely shallow call on God for the healing of disease. It was evening. Sri Ramakrishna was seated on his bed thinking of the Divine Mother and repeating her hallowed name. The devotees sat near him in silence. Latu, Shashi, Sharat, the younger Narain, Paltu, Bhupati, Girish and others were present. Ramtaran of the Star Theatre had come with Girish to entertain Sri Ramakrishna with his singing. A few minutes later, Dr. Sarkar arrived. Doctor said to the master, "I was much worried about you last night at 3 o'clock. It was raining. I said to myself, who knows whether or not the doors and windows of his room are shut." "Really?" said Sri Ramakrishna. He was much pleased at the doctor's love and thoughtfulness for him. Master said, "As long as there is the body, one should take care of it. But I find that the body is quite separate from the self. When a man rids himself entirely of his love for dust and gold, then he clearly perceives that the body is one thing and the self another. When the milk inside the coconut is all dried up, then the kernel becomes separated from the shell. You feel the kernel rattling inside when you shake the coconut. Or it is just like a sword and its sheath. The sword is one thing and the sheath is another. Therefore I can't speak much to the Divine Mother about the illness of the body." We shall stop here. Any questions? So modern times problems are mounting. And everybody has felt the terrible problem of violence and hatred playing its havoc in modern times. Every day if you open the newspaper, all the pages are covered with killings of people here and there. Violence, hatred. So that only shows people are not really trained in the spiritual ideas, and people are becoming more and more greedy. They are more after name, power, position. So all these things are because of that. Anyway, we should take to Sri Ramakrishna's teaching seriously and practice and get out of this world in a peaceful way. That's all I can say. Anything else? Chant the name of the Lord and His glory unceasingly, that the mirror of the heart may be wiped clean and quench that mighty forest fire, worldly lust raging furiously within. O name streamed down in moonlight on the lotus heart, opening its cup to knowledge of thyself, O self, drowned deep in the waves of his bliss, tasting his nectar at every step, bathing in his name, that bath for weary souls. Various are thy names, O Lord. In each and every name thy power resides. No times are set, no rites are needful for chanting of thy name. So vast is thy mercy, how huge then is my wretchedness, who find in this empty life and heart no devotion to thy name. O my mind, be humbler than a blade of grass. Be patient and forbearing like a tree. Take no honor to thyself, give honor to all. Chant unceasingly the name of the Lord. O Lord and soul of the universe, mine is no prayer for wealth or retinue. The playthings of lust are the toys of fame. As many times as I may be reborn, grant me, O Lord, a steadfast love for thee. A drowning man in this world's fearful ocean is thy servant, O sweet one. In thy mercy, consider him as dust beneath thy feet. Oh, how I long for the day when an instant separation from the old Lord will be as 1,000 years, when my heart burns away with its desire, and the world without thee is a heartless void. Prostrate at thy feet let me be, in unwavering devotion, neither imploring the embrace of thine arms, nor bewailing the withdrawal of thy presence, though it tears my soul asunder. O thou, who stillest the hearts of thy devotees, do with me what thou wilt, for thou art my heart's beloved, thou and thou alone. O Lord, lead us from the unreal to the real, lead us from darkness to light, and lead us from death to immortality. May all be free from dangers. May all realize what is good. May all be actuated by noble thoughts. May all rejoice everywhere. May all be happy. May all be free from disease. May all realize what is good. May none be subject to misery. May the wicked become virtuous. May the virtuous reign tranquility. May the tranquil be free from bonds. May the freed make others free. May good betide all people. May the sovereign righteously rule the earth. May all beings ever attain what is good. May the worlds be prosperous and happy. May the clouds pour rain time. May the earth be blessed with crops. May all countries be freed from calamity. May holy men live without fear. May the Lord, the destroyer of sins, the deciding deity of all sacred works, be satisfied. For he being pleased, the whole universe becomes pleased. He being satisfied, the whole universe feels satisfied.